Hey there besties. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're continuing our recap of the manhwa, Avoiding the Heavenly Emperor. If you're new to this series, check the description below for links to previous episodes. Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to all our supporters. If you're enjoying the content and want to help keep the channel going, consider buying me a coffee. There's a link in the description below. Every little bit helps, and I appreciate all your love and support. Lastly, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy the video. It really helps our channel grow. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. Baini approached the organizer's table, offering a polite introduction. I'm Bam Baini, number 1201, she said calmly. Please wait over there for a minute until you're summoned, the organizer instructed. As she moved to the designated area, Baini noticed each girl waiting beside a staff member holding a tray of food for tea time. The imperial soldiers were standing in place of the usual servants, creating a tense but silent atmosphere. Suddenly, a voice broke the quiet. Hey everyone, looks like Bam Baini is next. She seems a bit distressed. Maybe she's worried about facing an evil being? The storyteller teased, his words aimed directly at her. Baini recognized him immediately. Isn't he the storyteller with the peony sachet? Why is that fool mocking me again? She thought, her irritation rising. Just then, a door opened, and two girls walked out, visibly shaken. Baini felt a shiver of fear. What? They look like they've seen a ghost. What are evil beings really like? She wondered, her confidence wavering slightly. Refill the teapots, an instructor commanded, and the staff members busied themselves, preparing for the next contestant. As Baini waited, a flower on a nearby bush caught her eye. She plucked it and placed it on her tray, feeling a small thrill of satisfaction. But when she noticed the staff member beside her looking tense, she hesitated. Am I not allowed to do this? She wondered, a flicker of doubt crossing her mind. Owen noticed and reassured her with a nod. It's fine, he said softly. The storyteller, not missing a beat, added with a smirk, Lady Bam Baini is quite clever. Flowers can't grow in the land of evil, so evil beings love receiving fresh flowers as gifts. That should work in my favor, Baini thought relieved. The storyteller, however, couldn't resist one last dig. Let's see if our dear Lady Baini will be an evil being's supper, he quipped. That impish jerk, Baini fumed, but she forced herself to stay calm. I need to focus. She turned her attention to the door in front of her, knowing she only had 5 minutes to converse with whatever lay beyond it. But I haven't even decided what to discuss yet, she realized, her thoughts racing. Open the door, the instructor's voice cut through her thoughts, signaling it was time. Baini took a deep breath and prepared to step inside. As the door slid open, Baini froze in place, stunned by the sight before her. Oh my goodness, this is far creepier and scarier than I imagined, she thought, her heart racing as she saw the evil being seated across the room. The creature's intimidating energy made it hard for her to move. Its gaze was fixed on her, and she trembled under its scrutiny. Beside her, the contestant from the blue team collapsed in fear. No, I need to get myself together, Baini urged herself, tearing her eyes away from the being to refocus on the room. The strange scent of evil in the air was sweet and fragrant, almost lulling her into a sense of false security. I must be careful not to fall for it, she reminded herself as she finally took her seat. The doors shut behind her, sealing her inside with the creature. Are we starting? What should I do now? She wondered, her thoughts spiraling as the silence between them grew more oppressive. Oh no, I shouldn't lose my focus, she said inwardly. Trying to maintain her composure, she spoke up, her voice tense. Please serve tea to our guest, she instructed the staff member, who quickly obeyed, lowering the tray with trembling hands. What a lovely gift you have for me here, the demon said with an evil grin, eyeing the camellia she had placed on the tray. Baini forced a calm smile. Hyangbai Hall's camellias are famous for their red color, even within the heavenly realm, she explained, hoping to keep the conversation light. The demon seemed to relax slightly, sitting back in his chair. I'm glad he's taking this positively, she thought, but her mind raced. But what should I talk about next? The current state of international affairs? No, I don't know anything about that. And he's not going to start the conversation. I'm the one who needs something from him. I should act as relaxed as possible, as if I have all the time in the world, she told herself, taking a deliberate sip of her tea and allowing her gaze to drift absent-mindedly towards the garden outside. Her calm exterior was a stark contrast to the turmoil inside her. You have 2 minutes left. The instructor shouted from outside, breaking the silence and reminding the contestants of their time limit. The demon's voice interrupted her thoughts, his long claws tapping rhythmically on the table. I don't suppose you're giving up on this competition. So, what's going through your head? Baini took a deep breath, composing herself. This is a time dedicated to deepening relationships over tea. Shallow relationships involve banter and entertainment, but ties based on trust become stronger within the silence, she replied confidently, her voice steady. We have no relationship to speak of, as neither of us knows anything about the other, the demon countered. Celestial and evil beings have fought each other for thousands of years, stirring feelings of animosity, Baini acknowledged. But don't you think there's some meaning in the very act of sitting face to face in peace? 5 minutes is both long and short. I'm not sure how you feel, but personally, this is a very special time for me. The demon looked at her, his expression unreadable, as the seconds ticked away. Baini sat across from the demon, her expression calm and composed. You speak with surprising eloquence for someone so reckless, the demon remarked, his tone almost amused. Celestial beings always talk about peace when they're at a disadvantage. Either that or they stay silent, pretending to be dignified. But silence doesn't require much talent, does it? He questioned. Baini sipped her tea, her gaze unwavering. Wouldn't you agree that striving for victory is more commendable than surrendering to absolute evil? She asked, her voice steady. One must fight to achieve results. Isn't that why you're here, competing for the Heavenly Empress's title? So tell me, what makes celestial beings so different from evil ones? Perhaps it's because we openly acknowledge our instincts, while you celestial beings scheme dark plans secretly inside your hearts, the demon tells her. I'll have to disagree, Baini responded calmly. We've lived in separate worlds with different values since antiquity for a reason. The demon's eyes narrowed, but before he could respond, the instructor's voice cut through the air. 1 minute left. The demon picked up his scorecard, smiling. Your magnanimity is impressive. Should I give you the highest score? He asked her. Baini smiled, setting her cup down. The tea has gone cold. It's time to conclude our discussion. She stood up as the instructor called out, Time's up. Ladies, end your conversations and step outside immediately. The demon's voice followed her as she turned to leave. Aka Jungyuk. That's my name. Remember it. My hunch is you'll become the Heavenly Empress. Baini paused, a frown flickering across her face. That's the worst thing you could say to me, she thought, but she kept her composure. What an amusing young lady you are, the demon added with a smile as she exited the room. As Baini walked out, she sighed in relief. The encounter had gone smoothly, but she knew the real test lay in her score. Just then, the storyteller's voice echoed in her mind. The murderous Lady Bam Baini finished her conversation with the evil being without any problems. But we still have to wait to see what her score is, don't we? We'll be back after a 3-minute break, he teased, causing her to flinch. Mr. Storyteller, how long do you plan to follow me? She demanded, turning toward the unseen presence. Well, that depends on how you behave, the storyteller responded with a playful grin. Pardon me, but may I ask for your name? Baini inquired, her tone more curious than demanding. The storyteller chuckled, his eyes twinkling. Well, I didn't expect to be asked out like this. Baini's expression tightened with annoyance. That's the last thing I'd do. Oh, don't be shy, he teased, leaning in slightly. The fact that you're asking for my name means you're interested in me, doesn't it? I must be more charming to you than the Heavenly Emperor, whom you haven't even met yet. Baini felt her temper flare. How brazen of you. You've got some nerve saying that. I have extremely high standards when it comes to men, she retorted, her voice laced with irritation. The storyteller merely smiled in response, unfazed by her outburst. As Baini glared at him, she suddenly noticed someone watching them. She turned and saw Owen, his gaze serious and intent. Ha! Why is he looking at me like that? She wondered, her thoughts momentarily distracted. Next group, please head in. The instructor's voice broke through her thoughts, snapping her back to reality. She looked around, realizing the storyteller had vanished. Where did he go? I suppose I should leave too, she thought as she exited the hall. Alright, what's left is the duet. I need to find a partner before deciding what to manifest, she mused, her mind shifting to the next challenge. I should hurry and look for someone skilled. But will anyone want to team up with a BAM? I need someone who's talented, works well with others, and doesn't care about my lineage, she thought as she stepped outside. Just then, she noticed a familiar figure seated nearby. Huh? Is that who I think it is? She wondered, her steps slowing as she recognized the person. It's Jyosil, Baini thought, noticing her sitting alone with a sad expression. Should I talk to her? Why am I hesitating? She brushed aside her doubts and walked over. Jyosil, Baini called cheerfully, surprising her by hugging her from behind. Are you waiting to have lunch with Lady Orium? She asked, helping her to her feet. No, I just wanted to be alone, Jyosil replied quietly. Oh, I see. What about the duet? Have you chosen a partner yet? Baini continued, keeping her tone light. You, of course. I turned down everyone else to team up with you, Jyosil said, glaring slightly. Don't tell me you don't want to? She asked, sounding sad. Baini tensed, unsure how to respond. After a brief pause, she smiled. Don't be silly. Who else would I team up with? Jyosil watched her, calmer now. What should we manifest then? Baini asked. Anything's fine with me, Jyosil replied. A flower? A tree? How about a rainbow? Baini suggested. That's too boring, Jyosil dismissed the ideas. Then a swarm of butterflies? Baini offered, still trying. Do we really have to decide this now? Jyosil asked, sounding a bit tired. The sooner we choose, the better. But we should be careful too. Baini thought for a moment. How about we each brainstorm ideas and meet at 1 o'clock at the annex for dancers? Let's perform the best duet ever. You're more talented than I am, so I'd like you to take the lead, Baini added, holding Jyosil's hand gently. You know my strengths better than anyone. I'll do my part. Let's create something amazing and surprise the judges, she told Jyosil. Jyosil turned her gaze away, lost in thought. If this duet goes well, maybe we can go back to the days when we supported each other and laughed together, Baini thought. The Heavenly Empress selection is just one event, but you're my friend for life. Meanwhile, at Hyangbai Hall, Own was receiving reports. We've escorted all the evil beings back to their residences, an Imperial Guard informed him. Well done. Let's start with the first group's report, Own replied, reviewing the documents. The Imperial soldiers had been discreetly positioned during the meetings with the demons, ready in case anything went wrong. One lady stared at the servant, trembling in fear without saying a word, and eventually fainted. It was as if she expected the servant to initiate the meeting, a soldier reported. Foreign diplomacy is one of the Heavenly Empress's responsibilities. How disappointing, Own thought. Out of 1,530 contestants, only 34 had managed to serve tea properly. Of those, only 3 stood out: Hei Orium, Dong Dongi, and Bam Baini. Hei Orium and Dong Dongi are already capable of handling the duties of a Heavenly Empress. Both come from prestigious families, and Mother will likely choose one of them. But Miss Bam is more impressive than I expected, Own mused, reading Baini's report. Own found himself smiling, thinking of Baini. For some reason, she makes me smile whenever I think of her. I wonder what Miss Bear is doing now, he mused. An Imperial Guard approached, reporting. A few evil beings shared their names with the ladies. Really? Which ones? Was it Hei Orium, Dong Dongi, and Bam Baini again? Own asked with interest. The guard nodded. One evil being wanted to stay longer with Lady Orium, while Lady Dongi spoke with her demon like they were old friends. As for Lady Baini, the demon laughed several times during their conversation, the guard explained. Own raised an eyebrow. Evil beings only reveal their names when they're truly taken with someone. They don't even share them with their own kind unless absolutely necessary. What's more, The evil beings who came to the heavenly realm were either from the royal family or were nobles. To reveal their names after just one meeting, these ladies are remarkable, Own thought, a smile tugging at his lips. Meanwhile, at their meeting spot, Bai Ni was still brainstorming with Jyoseal. What about a potted flower? She suggested. Isn't that a bit boring? Jyoseal replied flatly. True. I'm sure most contestants will go with flowers. How about the butterfly idea I mentioned earlier? A colorful swarm could be beautiful, Bai Ni said, trying again. I don't know. It's all right, but I'm not feeling it, she admitted, letting out a sigh. How come? Bai Ni asked. I'm not sure. Nothing grabs my interest, Jyoseal replied, twitching slightly. What's on your mind then? Have you thought of anything since lunch? Bai Ni asked, a bit frustrated. I'll go with whatever you want. You know, I like to do things spontaneously. I have to feel excited when the time comes, and right now, nothing's standing out, Jyoseal replied, fidgeting with her fingers. But Jyoseal, we need to make a decision so we can practice, Bai Ni insisted, though Jyoseal cut her off. I told you, just choose something. We need to get good results, right? I'll figure out the rest, Jyoseal said, sounding more impatient. But if you take the lead, I'll only be a supporting role, Bai Ni said cautiously. Oh, I see. This is about you not wanting to support me, isn't it? You want the main role, don't you? Jyoseal said, snapping at her. Bai Ni felt the tension rise. That's not it. We don't know how the judges will evaluate us, whether they'll move both of us up or disqualify one. It's about balancing our strengths, she tells Jyoseal. As long as the manifestation looks good, we'll get high scores. Isn't that what matters? Jyoseal retorted, her tone harsh. No. They had us interact with evil beings to test how well we could work with them. The same goes for the duet. They want to see how we, from different teams, cooperate without overshadowing each other. That will be a determining factor in this match, Bai Ni argued. Jyoseal glared, her patience clearly wearing thin. Fine, let's just go with a flower. Happy now? She said, turning to leave. Wait, we haven't decided what kind. Bai Ni called after her. Let's make peach blossoms. It's your favorite, right? We'll create a pot full of them. What do you think? Bai Ni asked. Fine, peach blossoms are simple, so we don't need to practice together, right? I'm leaving, Jyoseal said, walking away. Bai Ni clenched her fists, trying to keep her cool. Whatever. I just need to calm down. I can't let this bother me, she said inwardly. Bai Ni felt distracted as she tried practicing her duet in the annex building. I can't seem to focus, she sighed, observing a nearby group. Their teamwork is impressive, she thought, admiring how seamlessly they work together. That's what a duet should be, both partners complementing each other's strengths. We need to decide who will be responsible for the opening and closing as well as who's going to stand out in different parts of the song, so discussing with your partner is important, she thought. The pressure of performing in a national contest weighed on her. We need to deliver a flawless performance. She sighed again, questioning herself. Am I being too ambitious? Shaking her head, she lightly slapped her cheeks to refocus. Come on, at least finish today's practice, she muttered. As night fell, Bai Ni groaned. I'm aching all over, she murmured, leaning back, only to bump into something. Turning around, she saw a cup of tea and a plate of grain syrup pastries nearby. Huh? What's this? She looked over to see Jyoseal, fast asleep. Smiling, Bai Ni noticed a staff member with a blanket and gently covered Jyoseal. I suppose we can work on the duet tomorrow morning, she thought, finishing her snack. She stretched and stepped outside, taking in the peaceful night. Meanwhile, Own hurried through the palace, his thoughts interrupted when he spotted Bai Ni in the moonlight. There are over 1,000 ladies here, but why does Miss Bear keep catching my attention? He wondered, stepping closer. I was wondering why I was hearing a mosquito. What brings you here, sir? Bai Ni teased as she noticed him approaching. You must have a special ability to sense mosquitoes that don't exist in the heavenly realm, Own replied with a smile. That's just how irritating you are, Bai Ni responded calmly. I've heard mosquitoes only bother easy prey, which explains why they're buzzing around you, Own shot back playfully. I suppose so. I'm quite tender-hearted, she quipped. Do you know how startled I was when I mistook you for a ghost under the moonlight? A ghost? Owen asked, looking puzzled. I was talking about your white hair. Even the strongest general in the universe would have been scared to see you, she said with a smile. Are you sure you're tender-hearted? Because if you were, you wouldn't insult people like this, Owen said with a smile. Speak for yourself. You're the one who keeps calling me a bear, Baini shot back, sounding more serious as she pointed at him. Owen almost laughed but kept his composure. By the way, he continued, sounding more serious, I advise you not to engage in private conversations with the storytellers. Why are you suddenly bringing them up? Baini asked, confused for a moment, then it clicked. Oh, are you referring to earlier today when I argued with the storyteller who had the peony sachet? Ha! So that's why you were glaring at me when I was heading back, she said, causing Owen to look flustered. When did I glare at you? He asked tensely. I clearly remember you giving me daggers from across the hall, like this, she said, trying to mimic his intense look. I don't recall any rule that says we're not supposed to talk to storytellers. Is it to prevent the possibility of bribery? Baini asked, her hand against her chin. Owen grinned to himself. She's sharp. If you keep mingling with the storytellers, you might form personal relationships with them. Then they'd have reason to present you in a more favorable light, exaggerating your strengths and glossing over your mistakes, Owen explained. Oh, I see. So you were worried I'd start looking a little too perfect, huh? Baini teased. Not exactly, Owen replied, a small smile playing on his lips. So far, the transmissions about you have been rather comical. Just then, Baini sneezed. Owen watched her with a tense look as she quickly covered her mouth, her face turning red. Oops, she muttered. It's still chilly, isn't it? Owen said, taking off his cloak and wrapping it around her. I shouldn't give you special treatment, but why do I keep wanting to? He added softly, almost as if speaking to himself. I beg your pardon, Baini asked, looking red. Please head back inside and get some sleep. You'll need it to perform well tomorrow, Owen said, turning away to leave. Baini hesitated, then called out, Oh, someone keeps playing a flute every night at Camellia Hall. Owen paused, turning back toward her. Another lady I know has heard it too. It's a beautiful tune, but it's been disrupting our sleep. Is that so? She's very sharp, he thought. Owen smiled. A flute, you say? Yes, it's a very lovely tune, but it disrupts our sleep. I'd appreciate it if you could find out who's playing it and ask them to stop performing so late, she requested. I promise to deliver that message to the culprit, Owen replied, giving her a brief nod before bidding her farewell. Baini rushed back to the annex building, heart pounding. Leaning behind the door, she tried to catch her breath. What's wrong with me? Why is my heart racing? My face is still hot. I've never felt this way before. Could it be? I have feelings for Owen? She wondered, her face flushed. Baini held her hands close to her chest, her heart still racing. No, that's not it. I just need to calm down and get some rest, she told herself, willing her emotions to settle. As she watched Jyosil sleep peacefully, a soft mutter escaped her friend's lips. Smiling, Baini gently patted her head, feeling a wave of affection. Memories of their past surfaced. Baini recalled her parents telling her that the late heavenly emperor passed away 2 days before her birth. Her mother, gravely ill from the delivery, had nearly lost her life, and her father, devoted to his wife, left his liege to care for her. At the time, they couldn't take care of Baini, but their neighbors who had just welcomed a baby girl, took pity on them and raised her alongside their own daughter, Jyosil. Though Baini was often bullied and rebuked by the adults and other children, Jyosil, despite her shy and fragile demeanor, always stood up for her. Baini vividly remembered the way her friend's small shoulders trembled as she defended her, and the sunlight that danced on Jyosil's hair that day. Such a painful memory, yet so beautiful, Baini thought. After that, Jyosil never left her side, becoming both her friend and sister. When the neighborhood finally accepted them and her mother recovered, she began teaching them rak. Jyosil quickly revealed a natural talent for it, impressing even Baini's mother, who taught rak at the palace. Baini loved watching Jyosil blush with joy whenever she was praised, and she made a point to compliment her often, knowing how happy it made her. I hope we never grow apart, Baini thought as she drifted into sleep, the bond she shared with Jyosil warming her heart. It's already morning, Baini thought, waking to the sound of chirping birds, noting that she hadn't heard the flute during the night. Own must have found the player, she thought. She glanced over at Jyosil, who was still asleep. Wake up, sleepyhead, Baini said, leaning closer. Jyosil stirred, her voice soft. Did we fall asleep together last night? Yes. Did you get some rest? Baini asked. I slept like a log, Jyosil replied, stretching. Now that we're both awake, let's wash up and practice a few more times together. I tried creating peach blossoms the way you usually manifest, Baini said with a smile. Peach blossoms? Is that what we're going with? Jyosil asked, causing Baini to pause. Yes, that's what we decided yesterday, remember? Let's start practicing as soon as you're ready, Baini replied brightly. Oh well, alright, Jyosil said. They soon began practicing their manifestation together. That was great. With this, we'll definitely make it to the top ranks. Just do exactly what you did just now, and I'll add more effects to complement your performance, Baini said enthusiastically. Jyosil hesitated briefly. Hey Baini, can we change it? I just thought of a better idea, she said. What? Baini asked, her heart racing. I want to create a bird hatching from an egg. It's the perfect image. I have a good feeling about this, Jyosil said warmly. No, it's too late to change our piece now. This is what we've practiced for, Baini told her firmly. But they didn't tell us to manifest anything specific. Aren't we free to choose what we want? Jyosil said, arguing with her. Yes, but it's already 9:20, and the match begins at 10. That leaves us 10 or 15 minutes at best to prepare, Baini replied, her voice tense. That's more than enough time, Jyosil insisted. But 10 o'clock is when we need to be at the contest arena. We won't have time to make the switch, Baini said, looking alarmed. Trust me, Baini. We can, Jyosil said. No, you can, not me. This is a duet, and I don't know what you're visualizing, Baini snapped. I have a hunch this will get us better results. It's in my gut. I need to create this image or I'll lose it. I can't manifest this particular feeling later if we do something else first, Jyosil explained, her voice softening. No, we're sticking with peach blossoms. We only have one chance, Baini said firmly. The match was about to start. A presenter's voice echoed through the room, announcing, please assemble in the front yard of the auditorium. One person from each group will draw lots to decide the order of performances. I'll go, Baini told Jyosil as she stepped away. Standing in line, she noticed other teammates arguing with one another. Everyone's experiencing conflict, she thought, observing their tense faces. Maybe this was inevitable with mixed teams. Or am I just being pessimistic? She wondered as she picked a paper from the box, bracing herself for the next step. I really hope nothing goes wrong, Baini thought as she handed her pick to the instructors. She glanced at Jyosil, standing apart from her. Wait, did Jyosil choose me because she thinks she can do whatever she wants? Doubt crept in. I was taught that rack must be performed in a peaceful state. Am I being too cynical? I feel so sad and nervous, she thought, her heart pounding. The third match will begin now. A man's voice called out. The first 100 contestants in groups 1 to 50, please step forward. If you don't respond to your name within 1 minute, you'll be disqualified. A woman followed, organizing the next round. Groups 51 to 100. The next 100 contestants, please stand by. She announced. Keep it down. She added sternly. To make it fair for the groups performing first, further practice is strictly forbidden. You are also not permitted to discuss anything about the match. If we catch you talking in secret, you'll be disqualified. There was a tense silence between Baini and Jyosil as they sat, waiting. Baini watched her partner closely, her mind racing, until finally she reached out, and they held hands. It's almost our turn, 10 minutes per group. She seems calmer now. What a relief, Baini thought, though the tension in her own chest remained. Next group. Please get ready to head inside. The instructors announced. It's our turn, Jyosil. Come on, Baini said, her voice bright but her nerves sharp. As they walked into the hall, she overheard whispers. "That's Woon Jyoseal, right? I heard she's a prodigy, said to appear once every 1,000 years, one girl murmured. Prodigy, my butt. I saw her make an oriental melon with my own eyes, and it wasn't impressive. She placed 14th for that. We'll see this time whether she's a genius or not," another girl added, their eyes lingering on Jyoseal. Jyoseal clenched her teeth, clearly upset by the comments. "Oh no, Jyoseal," Baini thought, her heart sinking, sensing her friend's pain. She reached out, but a staff member stopped her. "You're not allowed to speak beyond this point," he reminded her, gesturing for silence. "What do I do?" Baini wondered, watching Jyoseal's trembling body. Will she be able to perform like this? The pressure was mounting, and Baini feared her partner was slipping away just as their moment was about to begin. At the contest arena, Baini couldn't stop worrying about Jyoseal. Is she all right? Will she be able to perform? She wondered, glancing at her partner, who was visibly tense. Suddenly, her eyes caught sight of Own standing on the stage. Own? I've never done a manifestation in front of him before. This is a bit embarrassing, she thought, feeling her own nerves creep in. On the stage, a servant whispered something to the Heavenly Empress Dowager, who nodded calmly, her gaze fixed at Jyoseal. Her Majesty's only looking at Jyoseal, Baini noticed, her anxiety growing. Before she could think more, the instructor's voice rang out, pulling her back to the present. Ladies, play the rack. Manifest and play now, he announced loudly. Suddenly, Jyoseal began playing her rack. The intensity of her performance stunned everyone, but especially Baini. What's this? Fire? No, even the ground feels hot. I don't know what she's trying to do, Baini thought, feeling disoriented by the unexpected display. The other groups faltered under the pressure. This is supposed to be a duet, Baini realized, her heart sinking. But I don't see an opening where I can join in. I have no idea what she's trying to create, she thought. She watched as Jyoseal's fierce performance destabilized others, making it harder for Baini to find her own rhythm. What do I do? It's already been 3 minutes. Baini took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. No, I need to concentrate. Come on, Baini. Focus. She observed Jyoseal, still tense, before carefully joining in, playing her rack softly at first. I need to find a gap where I can add my own color. I'm not backing off. I'll approach this strategically, she resolved. There have been many times I've played without knowing what Jyoseal was manifesting. I can do this, she reminded herself. I didn't come this far just to get disqualified. I need this opportunity to become a grade 7 civil servant, she thought fiercely, quickening her pace and matching Jyoseal's frantic rhythm. The two girls played with intense focus, their racks blending as an image slowly took form, a bird's egg beginning to materialize. Baini pushed herself harder, harmonizing with Jyoseal's energy, determined to make it work. That's 7 minutes, the instructor called out. Jyoseal. This is the first time she's under so much pressure. Of course she's scared, Baini thought, her gaze softening. Sweat dripped down their faces as they pushed through the performance. Baini glanced at Jyoseal, who was struggling. She's frightened because she feels alone. She thinks she's all on her own, Baini realized, feeling a surge of determination to carry them both through. Baini began to synchronize with Jyoseal's rhythm, her spirit blending with the tone of her rack. I must make Jyoseal's manifestation clear and steady. I'll support her, not as an equal, but as an assistant. Like adding delicate brushstrokes to a bold painting. Just as a pot holds a flower, or raindrops give life to fruit, I'll add depth to her song. She thought back to their younger days, when Jyoseal had supported her in moments of weakness. I'll embrace you with the same purity of heart, just as you did for me, she said inwardly. Your 10 minutes are up. The match is over, the instructor called, halting all performances. Baini sighed in relief, but as she looked around, the mood was anything but celebratory. Their fiery eagle, hatched from an egg, had stunned the audience. It was a legendary manifestation that left the spectators in awe. What a beautiful and perfect firebird. Everyone will remember this forever. Yet, something felt off. The judges, even the Heavenly Empress Dowager, wore uneasy expressions. Why do they look so disturbed? Are we disqualified? Baine's heart sank. How should we handle this? One of the judges murmured to another, glancing toward the heavenly Empress Dowager. She gave a slight nod, and the instructor addressed the contestants. Ladies, please wait outside for a moment. We'll take a 10-minute break before resuming the match, he announced. The storytellers buzzed with excitement. Lady Gyoseal's manifestation was incredible. One exclaimed, "A firebird like that, it's a once-in-a-lifetime sight." Another storyteller chimed in, adding to the praise. "Her Majesty must want to examine the bird more closely. That's why they're reacting this way," Baine reasoned, though uncertainty still lingered. Then, she saw Own. His sharp gaze met hers for a brief second, and she quickly looked away, unsettled. Why did he look like that? Did we do something wrong? She wondered, her anxiety growing. As they exited the arena, Baine noticed a group of girls glaring at Gyoseal, their faces twisted in anger. Sensing the tension, she reached for Gyoseal's hand. "Gyoseal, we need to talk," she said softly. "I know it was supposed to be a duet. You don't have to tell me," Gyoseal snapped. "That's not what I was going to say," Baine began, but Gyoseal cut her off. "Enough. Just leave me alone," Gyoseal shouted. "Gyoseal," Baine called, trying to remain calm. But Gyoseal wasn't listening. She slapped Baine's hand away, sending her stumbling back. Baine looked at her in disbelief as murmurs spread through the group of contestants. Gyoseal trembled, her expression conflicted. "All right. Let's just talk later, you know we need to write?" Baine said, her voice serious. But Gyoseal ran off before she could finish. Baine watched her go, feeling a pang in her chest. I should leave her alone. That's the right thing to do for now, she thought, trying to process what had just happened. The judges gathered in a quiet room, tension filling the air as they debated their next move. So, about the 50 groups in question, including Woon Gyoseal and Bam Baine, how should we allocate points to the remaining 49 groups? The other contestants were clearly affected by Woon Gyoseal's performance. One judge began. If they couldn't rise to the occasion, they weren't that talented to begin with. There's no need to feel sorry for them, Lord Hay cut in, his tone dismissive. Well, it is a competition, a third judge agreed, though with a more cautious tone. But what Woon Gyoseal did? It was brutal. So, are you suggesting we disqualify the contestants from those 49 groups because of Woon Gyoseal's actions? The third judge asked, his voice cutting through the silence. The room grew quiet, each judge lost in thought. The weight of the decision hung over them. Finally, Lord Hay broke the silence with a sigh. This isn't an easy decision. We can't disqualify them outright since we didn't truly see what they were capable of. But letting them pass without a fair assessment isn't right either. It wouldn't be fair to contestants from other groups. He paused for a moment, glancing toward the heavenly Empress Dowager, who sipped her tea in silence. At the same time, we can't deny that Woon Gyoseal's performance was exceptional. Her manifestation of the Firebird is still intact, even now. That's something even grown-up practitioners would struggle to achieve. It speaks to her potential, Lord Hay added, his tone both admiring and conflicted. So, what should we do? He asked, turning to the rest of the room. After a moment, Own spoke up. Why not evaluate the 49 groups based on whether they managed to complete their manifestations? That's true, after all, 4 groups did finish their tasks despite everything, the third judge said calmly. That's true. Now, we just need to decide the winner between Woon Gyoseal and Bam Baine, he added. There was a pause as they reviewed the score sheets. Wait, Bam Baine received 2 8s, while Woon Gyoseal received 1 9 and 3 7s. Both have passed, based on the cumulative scores, the judge announced, sounding surprised. Oh dear. I suppose we'll need to discuss this further. Could those who awarded these high scores explain their reasoning? He asked. I gave Woon Gyoseal a 7, one judge said. Ah, I did as well. A 7, another judge echoed. I'm the one who gave her a 9, the heavenly Empress Dowager said, drawing all eyes to her. Her voice was calm but authoritative. I gave Bam Baine an 8, Own added. I also gave her an 8, Lord Hay said. The room buzzed with surprise. I didn't expect you two to give Bam Bai Ni such high scores. Until now, the highest score Your Majesty and Lord He have given was a 5. Could you both explain why Bam Bai Ni received such scores? The Heavenly Empress Dowager asked, her expression slightly uneasy. Lord He leaned forward. As you all know, we're here to select the Heavenly Empress. I gave Bam Bai Ni an 8 and Woon Jyoseal a 1 because I considered which of these ladies would contribute most to our realm. Yes, Woon Jyoseal is incredibly talented, but she's too emotional and sensitive. Her artistic skills are impressive, but she's not someone who can oversee the celestial palace, manage the people's welfare, or handle diplomatic matters wisely. A murmur rippled through the room, but the Empress Dowager remained composed. Yes, but no other manifestation struck you after witnessing Woon Jyoseal's Firebird, did it? Except, perhaps, for He Orium, he said. We must have a Heavenly Empress with a fighting spirit. The late Heavenly Emperor fell in combat. Strength is needed in these times. We can't have a Heavenly Empress who's too weak to manage a competition like this, can we? The Dowager continued. Own interjected. Yet if Woon Jyoseal and Bam Bai Ni had been at odds with each other, that Firebird would never have materialized the way it did. The Dowager paused. I'm aware. Bam Bai Ni supported her partner with grace. Suppressing one's own ambitions is no small feat, but sometimes stepping forward is essential. Just like when Your Majesty abolished the old conventions and was labeled a tyrant for it. Mother Own said, his voice rising slightly, if we select someone based solely on their talent and place them in power, they'll prioritize selfish desires and breed corruption. Like you said, the Heavenly Empress must lead not only in times of peace but also in war. She may not fight like a general, but she must command the armed forces, unify them, and direct them toward a common goal. That's what we need in a leader. The Empress Dowager's hand trembled as she gripped her teacup tightly. Patience can be cultivated. Elegance can be taught. But if we choose a mediocre woman for this role, our realm will suffer for centuries. Only by selecting a Heavenly Empress with exceptional skill can we maintain peace and prepare for the future. That's how we ensure intelligent heirs and stability for generations, she said, her tone firm but betraying a hint of anger beneath the surface. Is the purpose of this competition to produce powerful heirs before I die? Or is it simply because you despise House Bam? Own asked, his tone calm yet piercing. The Empress Dowager's face twisted with annoyance. How dare you put it that way, Your Majesty? She shouted, her voice trembling with anger. You're right. I can't give someone from House Bam a good score. He may have been your father, but the Heavenly Emperor was also my husband, she said, her body shaking. House Bam is not responsible for father's death, Own replied firmly. Just because the law didn't convict them doesn't mean they're innocent, she snapped back. And I gave those scores as the Heavenly Empress Dowager, not out of personal grievance. Her grip tightened on the teacup, her knuckles white. Own's expression remained calm. I know. I made my decisions as the Heavenly Emperor. He paused before continuing. The Heavenly Empress must be able to appoint the right people at the right time and not envy their talent. Bam Bai Ni fought Woon Jyoseal with cunning, but as soon as she chose to support her, she did so fully. I even noticed she enjoyed it. The judges exchanged glances, sensing a shift in the room. Own added, no one seems to have realized, but the Firebird's form is still intact because of Bam Bai Ni, not Woon Jyoseal. If Lady Bai Ni had smiled after the match, I might have given her a perfect score. The judges murmured amongst themselves, considering Own's words. Meanwhile, at Camellia Hall, Bai Ni leaned against the wall, her breath heavy. Ugh, I can finally catch my breath, she muttered to herself, recalling how she had run away from the storytellers. They even followed me to the restroom. Who knows what kind of rumors they'll spread? She thought, trembling. There's no way I'm doing an interview, she vowed. As she caught her breath, she overheard two girls whispering nearby. Have you heard? They stopped the match because of Woon Jyoseal, a girl from the red team said. I know, right? Apparently, the judges were shocked, just kept staring at the Firebird. I saw over 40 storytellers following her. A blue team girl added excitedly. She must have been amazing. I bet Jyoseal will win first place, the first girl said with a smile. Of course she will. The second girl agreed. Everyone's talking about Jayo Seal. Baini listened quietly, her heart heavy. I suppose I'll be disqualified for sure. It was my choice to support Jayo Seal, so I can't complain. But Eun's expression from earlier lingered in her mind, troubling her. Even that man is annoying me. I'm exhausted, she thought, shaking her head. I should rest, she said inwardly. The next morning arrived quickly. As Baini packed her things, she thought, I guess I'm going home today. I was just getting used to this place. Suddenly, a girl shouted from outside, everyone. The results are up on the bulletin. How many people were disqualified? Someone yelled. A total of 482 contestants. They're supposed to leave before breakfast today. Another girl exclaimed. The news hit hard. What? 482 people? That's way too many, a girl muttered in disbelief. It doesn't say who made the top 10. Someone in front of the board shouted. As girls cried over their disqualifications, Baini stood back, her heart racing. I guess I should check the list for my name. She steeled herself. I'm ready to go home. I'm prepared for this. Yet, as she scanned the disqualified contestants' board, something felt off. Why am I hesitating? She wondered, closing her eyes. I wanted to compete a little longer, she realized. Her eyes flicked open, and she took a deep breath as she peeked at the list. Huh? She murmured, her face puzzled. I'm not here, Baini muttered, relieved as she didn't see her name on the disqualification list. I really thought I was out, she sighed, feeling the tension ease. As she glanced over the top 100 contestants, she nodded to herself. Of course, Hae Orium and Dong Dongi took first and second place. But something caught her eye. Wait, where's Woon Jayo Seal? A girl nearby asked, looking confused. Another laughed. Seriously? She caused all that drama and didn't even make the top 100? Serves her right. They snickered. Her score for conversing with an evil being was low, and her firebird wasn't anything special either. Baini frowned slightly. So Jayo Seal didn't make it. But at least the others weren't disqualified unfairly. She turned her attention back to the lists. Alright, let's see the next one. Her eyes widened as she spotted her own name in the top 3 for the demon conversation match. Me, she stared at the list stunned. I knew you'd make it. Dongi's cheerful voice broke through her thoughts, as she hugged Baini from behind. Baini chuckled. Oh, who's this? The famous Dong Dongi, second place for her conversation with an evil being. You're dazzling, she teased. Of course. That's just how amazing I am, Dongi replied, her face flushing a little. I love how quickly you get cocky, Baini said laughing. Dongi grinned. Oh, Bini. As they laughed together, Baini glanced around at the disqualified contestants, their expressions somber. Let's go somewhere else, she suggested quietly. As they walked, Dongi looked at her curiously. Why did you stare at the top 100 list for so long earlier? I was just comparing how many contestants were left for each team. I'm starting to recognize some names, Baini explained. You're probably the only one keeping track of that, Dongi mused. Anyway, congrats on getting third place in the demon conversation match. Thanks. And congratulations to you too, Dongi, Baini replied smiling. Hello girls. I could hear you two laughing from over here. Congratulations to both of you, Hae Orium said, standing at a distance from Baini and Dongi. Jayo Seal trailed behind her, looking away, her expression sad. Orium, Dongi called out excitedly, stepping toward her. Orium raised a hand, stopping her. Oh Dongi. Our team's not in the best spirits right now. I don't think you and the red team should come in. Dongi smirked. Oh, so now it's you and the red team, huh? I wouldn't be surprised if you start calling us those red team brats next, she teased. It's strange how people drift apart just because of what we're wearing, Orium replied. That's what these uniforms do. Are there 1,048 contestants left now? Dongi asked. To be exact, it's 1,047. Someone from the blue team had to drop out because of a family issue, Orium explained. Behind her, Jayo Seal clenched her fists, her frustration clear. Dongi noticed and gave a small, knowing smile. Well, we need to file a report at Evergreen Hall, so we'll be off, she said to Orium. All right. We'll head back too, Orium replied. As Jyosil turned to walk into the blue team's residence, Baini gently caught her hand. Jyosil, we need to talk, she said softly. About what? Jyosil said, snapping at her. What we were supposed to talk about after the match yesterday. I'm not angry. I understand why you did it, Baini said, offering a reassuring smile. You understand? You don't know anything about me. Jyosil shouted. Are you going to be there for me when I'm struggling? No, you're not. That's because we're on different teams, Baini replied quietly. Exactly. So how could you help me? How could you possibly help when they laugh at me or put dirt in my shoes? Tell me. Jyosil's voice trembled as she pointed at Baini. Someone put dirt in your shoes? Why didn't you tell me? Baini asked, her tone shifting, concerned. And if I did? You just look worried for a second, then go laugh with Dongi when I'm not watching, Jyosil spat bitterly. I didn't laugh with her, Baini said, her voice steady. Liar, Jyosil said, cutting her off. You didn't care about me. You ignored me when I asked you to eat with me, but the moment Dongi needed help, you were there right away. She glared at Baini. Wait. Are you talking about when I spoke to Lord Hay before the demon conversation match? I wasn't helping her, Baini replied, keeping calm. Yes, you were, she snapped. I even saw Dongi leaning on your shoulder at Hyangbai Hall because she was so grateful. And what about today? How could you laugh and congratulate each other, knowing I didn't make it to the top 100? How could you? This is a complete misunderstanding, Baini protested, feeling the weight of Jyosil's accusations. A misunderstanding? Jyosil's voice cracked. You've never cared about me. Not since the moment we arrived here. You hesitated when choosing your partner for the duet, didn't you? You weren't happy about teaming up with me, were you? But I turned down everyone else for your sake. Tears welled in her eyes. I wanted to be with you, but you didn't feel the same. I did want to partner with you, Baini replied, her face tense, trying to explain. Stop lying. Jyosil shouted. If Dongi had asked, you would have said yes without hesitation. But when I asked, you hesitated, then agreed like it was some burden. Her frustration boiled over. Baini opened her mouth to respond. That's because the rule for partnering. She stopped short, noticing the group of girls from the blue team surrounding them. Their whispers were sharp. Look at her, snapping at her own partner, one girl murmured. It's her fault she got a low score in the first place. Even the storytellers were shocked. She acts so high and mighty, but yesterday she was dragging them around all day, said another girl. Another girl leaned closer, smirking. Ah, our little genius lady is upset. How pitiful. Their words stung, echoing in the tense space. Jyosil's eyes darted toward the group, and her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. The silent accusations in the air weighed heavy. Jyosil trembled in frustration, the sound of laughter from the others piercing her ears. Oh no, we should go somewhere else first, Baini thought, reaching out to take Jyosil's hand. But Jyosil yanked it away. You're jealous of me, aren't you? Jyosil shouted. What? What are you talking about? Baini stuttered, caught off guard. You said it yourself, you're envious of my freewheeling rank. But now that you've made new friends, you decided to challenge me to my face yesterday. Isn't that right? You did it on purpose. If it weren't for you, my score wouldn't have been so low. Jyosil's voice rose as her accusations grew sharper. You kept distracting me while I was making the Firebird during the match. You were jealous of me, you always were. That's why you sabotaged our duet. She broke into tears, her frustration spilling over. Baini stood there, speechless, her heart racing as Jyosil's words echoed. She's just making excuses, Baini thought. She's trying to justify why she didn't make it to the top 100, trying to blame me for her failure. Yet, despite knowing this, Jyosil's raw emotion was undeniable. You really thought I was jealous of you? Baini asked softly, surprising Jyosil. I won't ask anything else, but answer this, you said I challenged you. Does that mean you saw me as inferior to you? Not as a friend, but someone beneath you? The silence that followed felt heavy. Jayo didn't respond. "Why can't you answer me?" Baini pressed, her voice trembling. Before Jayo could react, the other blue team members stepped in, surrounding her protectively. "Ugh, these red team girls are such a pain," one girl sneered, stepping between Baini and Jayo. "Who said you could just barge into our residence like this? And now you're harassing her with absurd accusations? Just leave, okay? We're not in the mood for this." Baini remained silent, watching as the girls consoled Jayo. "Are you deaf or something? I said leave." The girl snapped, her voice sharp. Without a word, Baini turned and walked away. "So that's what she's thought of me all this time. Whatever." She blinked back the tears threatening to fall. "I'm done. I'll just focus on myself from now on. I've had enough," she said inwardly. The contestants who were disqualified were preparing to leave, their emotions evident as they approached their carriages. "I don't know how to feel about this. I actually recognize half of them now," Baini thought as she watched them. Out of the 482 contestants, 297 from the blue team and 186 from the red team were heading home. More from the blue team, she noted, briefly imagining herself among them. "I suppose everyone's feeling this loss in their own way. The blue team members seem more united though." She reflected on how the blue team had always been expected to perform better, and with that came a deeper sense of solidarity. "Something tells me the next match is going to be a real challenge." At the red team residence hall, Dongi called for a meeting. "Okay, everyone. Gather around. We need to reassign rooms since a lot of contestants have left," she announced, drawing everyone's attention. "Hey, does that mean we'll be mixed with the blue team?" one girl asked. "No, the teams stay the same. Once a red team, always a red team," Dongi reassured her. "Good. I'd hate to be on the same team as them after everything that happened," the girl replied. "Just because we have more members doesn't mean we have an advantage," Dongi cautioned. "There's a high chance we could still get disqualified in the next match." "Why is that? What's the next match about?" several girls asked curiously. Dongi explained, the fourth match was going to be a team event. Baini raised her hand, her curiosity piqued. "Did the judges decide how many times each team will perform?" Suddenly, all the girls turned to look at her, whispering among themselves. "Why are they staring at me like that?" she wondered. Another girl asked the same question aloud, diverting attention back to Dongi. "Yes, they did. There will be 4 performances this time, with each group getting 20 minutes, Dongi explained. "Why is that a problem?" someone asked, sensing the tension in Dongi's tone. "Because 296 people were disqualified from the blue team and 186 from ours. If one more blue team member leaves, there will be 468 left on their side and 579 on ours. Each team has to perform twice. The blue team will compete in groups of 234, but will be in groups of 289.5, Dongi said, writing the numbers on the board. The math confused the girls, making the atmosphere more tense. Considering the fact that there are 290 members in each group, 20 minutes isn't a long time. In other words, the blue team members will have more time to showcase their individual skills than we do, Baini announced, her tone thoughtful. "Baini's right," Dongi chimed in. "We currently have 111 more people than the blue team. After the 4th match, there's still the 5th match as well, and to keep the teams balanced, the judges will likely have to disqualify more people from our side." Dongi went on to explain the match order. Blue Group 1 will go first, followed by Red Group 1, then Blue Group 2, and finally Red Group 2. "So we need to divide ourselves into 2 groups. Baini thought quietly, which group should I join? Red Group 1 has a higher risk of disqualification since they compete between the blue team's groups. But Red Group 2 might have an advantage performing last, unless Lady Aurum or Jayo is in Blue Group 2. Then it'll be tough to score high. I know what you're all thinking, but listen, 20 minutes is longer than you think. If all you do is show off your rack, the judges will get bored. You need to make it visually engaging. Each of us plays a different instrument, so the harmony has to be perfect. Think about your song choice, and how you'll structure it. Not everyone will get a solo part and manifest in the first line. Some will be in the background. Keep that in mind, Dongi continued, offering her advice. Our match is in 5 days, but we only have 4 days left to practice. In fact, if you don't count today, it's just 3. So let's divide into groups after lunch.
Disperse,
she said, clapping her hands with a smile. As Baini walked outside the residence, she spotted 2 girls near the blue team's fence, whispering to each other. What are they doing? Spying on the blue team? What if they get caught? She thought, her brows furrowing. Baini, do you want some cinnamon punch? I'm craving something sweet, Dongi called out, snapping Baini from her thoughts.
Sure.
Always down for desserts, Baini replied warmly, following Dongi to a quiet spot by the lake. As they sat down with their drinks, Dongi sighed contentedly. So relaxing. From what I've heard, the blue team has a lot of animosity towards us right now, Dongi revealed, her tone more serious. Is it because of me? Baini asked, confused. Yes. They're saying you've been targeting Jyoseal, their strongest player, and that the red team used dirty tricks to get so many of their members disqualified. Thanks to all that, Jyoseal's being comforted by her teammates right now, Dongi said with a sympathetic glance. Baini frowned, feeling the weight of the accusations. I didn't intend for this to happen, she thought, sipping her drink in silence. Well, at least that's good news, Baini said, trying to sound upbeat. But her thoughts drifted. She used to be my one and only friend. Now she's the one tormenting me the most. You know, about the 49 groups that didn't perform well in our last match. Those contestants also hold some hostility towards you, not Jyoseal. It's ironic, considering the duet was meant to show teamwork. But it's hard to change public sentiment once it's set, Dongi remarked, observing the situation. Yeah, I'm sure, Baini replied, nibbling on her snack. But a question lingered in her mind. There's something I don't understand though. You're sharp and perceptive. So why do you go soft when it comes to Jyoseal? Dongi asked curiously. Baini paused for a moment, caught off guard. Well, it's because Jyoseal and I are like sisters, she finally replied, her voice picking up some excitement. Oh, so by sisters, you mean you two are childhood friends who are like frenemies? Friends but also rivals. Dongi said, smiling. Exactly, Baini responded, relieved that the conversation didn't dive deeper into her feelings. Dongi took a sip of her punch and nodded. I see. She's not pressing me further. How kind of her, Baini thought, grateful for the space. Oh, guess what? Some of the blue team members called me an animal, Baini teased, hoping to lighten the mood. My goodness. That's awful. How could they say something so mean? Dongi exclaimed, genuinely surprised. I know, right? Baini giggled, and they both laughed together. But beneath the laughter, Baini's thoughts grew heavier. People are already saying bad things about me. And because I'm from Housebam, they probably think it's okay to treat me with contempt. On top of that, there are rumors swirling around ever since the fight with Jyoseal. Things are only going to get tougher from here. She clenched her fist slightly, feeling her determination rise. I need to brace myself. Breaking news, everyone. A girl announced, grabbing the attention of everyone in the red team residence. What's going on? Baini wondered, watching as the girls crowded around. What is it? One of the girls asked eagerly. So, I just eavesdropped on the blue team, and guess what? Hey Orium and Woon Jyoseal are both in blue group 1, the girl revealed, leaving the room in stunned silence. Are you sure? Another girl asked nervously. Of course I am, she replied confidently. The girl had been hanging around the fence for hours when she overheard some blue team members talking. Wow, good work. Isn't that information top secret? You're amazing. The others cheered. It's impressive she found that out, but now no one's going to want to be in red group 1, Baini thought, already dreading what would come next. And no one's going to want to be in the same group as me, the loner. Listen up, everyone. We're dividing into 2 groups now. Let me know if you have a preference, Dongi announced. I'll go to group 1, Baini said, surprising herself. Same here, Dongi followed. As soon as they spoke, the others rushed to claim spots in group 2, their eyes lighting up with relief. All right, line up according to your groups, Dongi instructed. Group 2 quickly swelled with more members. We're a little short in Group 1. Can some of you come over? Dongi asked with a smile, but the girls in Group 2 glared at her. Let's vote to make it even. One group will have 289 members, and the other will have 290, Dongi suggested. Wait. Let the first 100 people who joined Group 2 stay. One girl demanded. At least the first 150, another chimed in. Fine, the first 130 will stay, and we'll vote for the rest, Dongi said calmly. So, Group 1 will have 289, and Group 2 will have 290. That means we have one more member. Why should we agree to this? Just because you're the team leader doesn't mean you can decide everything. A girl in Group 2 shouted, her frustration boiling over. Dongi's expression shifted. Fine, Group 2 can have 289 members, but you'll perform after Hei Orium and Woon Jae-seal. That's only fair, she said, her tone firm, though her face reflected sadness. Wait, but you can't have everything you want, Dongi interrupted confidently, causing the girl to flinch. Alright, fine, we'll take the extra member. We'll decide who moves to Group 1 ourselves, the girl muttered, clearly tense. Alright, let's get into our groups and discuss tactics for the upcoming match. None of the groups should interfere with the other, Dongi announced, leading everyone outside. There are 11 people here, excluding me and Dongi, Baini thought, observing the team members. They're all from families loyal to House Dong, and very skilled. But one person bothers me, that girl, whose friends are in Group 2. She's probably a spy here to find out what we're planning. Is it really necessary to go this far? She wondered, feeling a sense of unease. Once everyone in Red Group 1 gathered, Dongi addressed them. Alright, Red Group 1. Let's start the meeting. I'd like to be the leader for Group 1. Is that alright with all of you? She was quickly met with agreement. As the group leader, I say Bam Baini should be the assistant leader, Dongi declared, catching Baini off guard. Baini noticed the suspected spy glaring at her openly. Does she have to make it so obvious? Baini thought. Well, if I'm going to be criticized anyway, I might as well take the role, she said inwardly. I'll do my best, Baini said calmly, as some of the girls applauded her. Alright, now I'm going to assign positions for the team match, Dongi continued. We're deciding that already? Baini asked, though she remained composed. Yes. I have a basic understanding of everyone's skills now, Dongi replied. Baini, do you remember which contestants consistently made it to the top 100? Yes. So far, there are about 42 from the blue team and 28 from red, Baini answered. Nice. How do you think the blue team organized their groups? Dongi asked. My guess is that they divided them by instruments, Eastern instruments for Blue Group 1 and Western instruments for Blue Group 2, Baini explained. Ah, that makes sense. Hei Orium and Woon Jae-seal both play Eastern instruments. That must be why they're in the same group, another girl commented. Since this is a team match, teamwork is key, Baini pointed out. Even if individual players do well, the performance will fall apart if the harmony is off. The blue team probably organized their groups that way for balance. But what about Blue Group 1? Most of them play Western instruments, and Lady Orium and Jae-seal might have solo parts, right? Another girl asked. Do you really think Hei Orium would plan the performance in a way that excludes others? Dongi responded, shaking her head. That's true, the girl agreed, seeing the point. A large number of red team members might be disqualified in the upcoming team match, and Hei Orium, from what I know, would probably use this as a chance to give lesser-known players an opportunity to shine. On our side, though, we're already mixed up in terms of instruments, which makes strategizing more difficult. If we're not careful, both groups from the red team could end up giving a chaotic performance. Alright, look closely, Dongi said, turning to the chart behind her. Here's the stage, and this is where each of you will be standing, she pointed out, explaining the arrangement. I'll leave this on the wall, so you don't have to memorize it, she added, giving a subtle glance toward the suspected spy, who seemed to brighten at this. The girl stuttered, looking caught off guard. We'll be positioned where it's easier to handle any unexpected situations. Since there are 10 ladies from the vassal families, each will be in charge of 15 members, Baini thought, but was interrupted when Dongi suddenly called her name. The assistant leader, Baini, will be responsible for the 70 people in the front line, Dongi announced, writing Baini's name on the chart, leaving her stunned. What? I don't have what it takes to handle that, Baini protested. You'll be fine. You need to be in a position where you can cover for any mistakes, Dongi reassured her with a smile. People are going to complain, Baini insisted. They'll accuse you of favoritism because you put me at the front. Don't you think you're overestimating my abilities? Not at all. You're good at seeing the big picture and maintaining balance. Your manifestations are always distinct and focused, and you have a talent for bringing people together, Dongi explained. But still, 70 people is a lot, Baini replied, feeling unsure. I'm confident you can handle it. You even faced off against Woon Jae-seol, Dongi pointed out. But I barely managed to add a bit of harmony. I appreciate the compliment, but I'm just an average player, Baini said, still unsure. No, you're not. Just because Woon Jae-seol is exceptional doesn't mean you're not talented. Her performance was unstable and a bit reckless, but you supported her and added harmony. Managing 70 people will be easy compared to that, Dongi encouraged her. She's asking me so earnestly. I can't turn her down, Baini thought, feeling determined. All right, I'll do my best, she said with renewed energy. Great, Dongi responded, smiling as she finished writing her name on the board. I'll stand at the back, she announced. That means Dongi will manage the 69 players in the rear. Since we'll all be manifesting while facing forward, she'll be able to see everyone from there. No one will be able to complain about me being in the front because Dongi thought it all through, Baini reflected, impressed. I know we're performing right after Hae-orium and Woon Jae-seol, but I guarantee that our group will win first place in this team match, Dongi said, her confidence unwavering. Dongi turned to Baini. Do you really think we can win first place? She asked, her tone light but serious. Baini hesitated. No, not really. I said it to lift everyone's spirits. There's no way we can beat contestants like Orium and Jae-seol. Wait, you think they'd both be in the same group? Dongi raised an eyebrow. I was almost certain, Baini replied, her voice dropping as she looked down, worry creasing her face. Dongi nodded. I see. Baini, I won't be there for the meeting later. When things get heated, promise me you'll stay quiet and just observe, no matter what, she instructed, placing her hand on Baini's shoulder. Baini looked tense but agreed. All right. Dongi's words echoed in Baini's mind as she watched the girls evicted from Group 2 return to the residence hall, their expressions anxious about joining Red Team Group 1. Some of them still tried spying on other teams. As the saying goes, one must know their enemy and themselves to win 100 battles, Baini thought, recalling the saying. But the spying was a bit too obvious. Is the rivalry really this tense? She wondered, observing the guards now stationed in front of Group 2's hall. Dongi's voice broke her thoughts. All members of Red Group 1, please come to the cafeteria. As Baini followed the others, her mind sharpened. There's going to be a lot of complaints now that the rest of the group's members are here. From this point on, I can't let my guard down now. When everyone had gathered, Dongi sat in front of them. Red Group 1, we will now begin our second meeting. First, I want to inform you that during the previous meeting, I was chosen as group leader, and Baini as assistant leader. What? How could you decide that already? Shouldn't we all vote? One of the new girls protested. It was already decided in the first meeting, Dongi replied calmly. Still, we should all have a say. The girl insisted. No, as you saw during the grouping process, unanimous decisions are impossible. We don't have time to argue, so I'll ignore any opinions that aren't brought up during the meetings, Dongi said firmly, silencing the objections. Now, let's hear some suggestions for our performance, she continued. We need at least 5 soloists. We could have 10, another girl suggested. Did you forget that there are 289 of us and only 20 minutes to perform? Another girl interjected. We can't let 10 people hog the spotlight, especially when we don't even know who's suitable for the solo parts. Well, we can just decide based on the current rankings, the first girl snapped. I'm not here to be someone's sidekick, okay? The second girl shot back, escalating the argument. Bai Ni observed quietly. None of these girls are willing to back down. They're all unhappy with their group, she thought. Dongyi stood up. Everyone, I'm going out to book our practice room. Please continue the meeting without me. After she left, one of the new girls suggested, let's draw lots to decide who gets the front row.
Again?
I'm tired of drawing lots. We had to do that all the time in Red Group too. Let's just rotate quickly between the main positions, the first girl countered. As the argument continued, Bai Ni remained silent, watching them go back and forth. They're not making any progress, she thought with a sigh. What worries me more are the girls who left the room. I bet they're plotting something outside, desperate to survive in this match. Does anyone know what the blue team is doing? A girl's voice broke into her thoughts. I saw them about 30 minutes ago. Both blue groups 1 and 2 have already started practicing, someone replied. That's fast. Another girl exclaimed. And red group 2? Bai Ni asked. They're thrilled, bragging about planning a big, fancy performance. They're definitely up to something, the girl said. Then we need to hurry and choose our song too, someone said excitedly. Shouldn't we figure out what blue group 1 is performing first? We can't compete with them in music, so our only chance is to put on a unique performance, a girl urged, but some of the others were already showing signs of giving up. What happens if we end up doing the same song as blue group 1? One girl asked nervously, fidgeting as the tension grew. No, we can't let that happen. Who wants to spy on the blue team? Another suggested, as the group debated their next steps. This is my chance, Bai Ni thought, quickly jotting down a note. She folded it and discreetly passed it to one of the girls, signaling that it was for Dongyi. By noon, Dongyi returned with a cheerful smile. Hey, everyone. Let's continue after dinner. I've got good news. I've secured us a secret practice space. It's a soundproof room, specially made for performers. The girls lit up. That's amazing. Dongyi continued, we only have 3 more days to practice. The match will be held at Young Camellia Hall, and starting tomorrow, we'll get to practice in the contest arena twice a day for 2 hours each time. These 4 hours are critical, so we need to finalize our performance today and begin rehearsing tomorrow morning. Suddenly, a girl burst into the room, interrupting her mid-sentence. Hey girls. I found out what Red Group 2 is performing. It's the national anthem. She announced excitedly. You mean the national anthem of the heavenly realm? One of the girls gasped. Why didn't we think of that first? What a missed opportunity. Seriously? The national anthem? Who'd want to listen to something that's played at solemn ceremonies for 20 minutes straight? Bai Ni thought, unimpressed. Dongyi cleared her throat, bringing the room back to focus. Looks like we're the last ones to decide. Assistant leader, what are your thoughts on the upcoming match? She asked, turning to Bai Ni. Bai Ni stood up, gathering her thoughts. The judges already know our individual strengths. Why do you think they and the Heavenly Empress Dowager want to see us perform as a group? To evaluate our teamwork, harmony, coordination, and balance, one of the girls answered. Exactly. Those are the key factors that will determine our score. As long as no one makes obvious mistakes, we won't be disqualified. However, we face a problem. We have a mix of Western and Eastern instruments. What we need is a performance that blends these instruments smoothly, without feeling chaotic or forced. The group listened attentively. I agree. That's our biggest challenge right now, Dongyi said. So, do you have a specific song in mind? Bai Ni smiled confidently. Yes, I do.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible adventure. If you enjoyed what you watched, please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell. Your comments mean the world to us and help us improve. The next episode promises even more excitement and unexpected twists, so stay tuned as we embark on this thrilling journey together. Keep the anticipation alive, and we'll catch you in the next episode.